Peace, peace, peace. We were gonna do this private one, but yeah, the folks I want to go private with are actually in bed right now. So something I want to share, and I don't have a lot of time to do it. I'm a precurse this, if you would, by asking you guys if y'all remember a movie where they tell this horrific story. What's up, Omac? They tell this horrific story about something that happens to somebody, a child or a woman or something like that, and it's about a black family, if you would, black woman, black child, black family, whatever. And then at the end of telling this horrific story, they say, "Now imagine if they were white." Okay, or vice versa. Imagine if they were black. However that story went. I was getting ready to look it up, but I didn't get a chance to do it. So that's what the beginning part of this post is going to be. Mind you, I don't have a lot of time. I've been off for, I think, 4 hours. Yeah, well, no, maybe 3 hours. And I got to go to bed because I got some work to do tomorrow. So I got to do this in segments. Peace to you guys that came in the room. So anyway, I was going to look up the post. I couldn't find it. But I want y'all to keep that in mind as I start this because I got a few things that's jumbling around together and I'm really trying to get to something. And it's in the title, but I don't think I'm gonna tell y'all exactly how to look at that title yet. Okay? Yeah, I ain't gonna tell y'all that yet. But anyway, so I'm gonna play something, and I'm gonna do this one independently by itself. So hey, Funtrice, I thought you was asleep. Um, so I'm gonna play this first 30-minute clip. Like I said, I gotta go to work. I gotta get up in a few hours, and I gotta run tomorrow. Okay, but when you listen to this, this is the mindset I want you guys to have listening to this. This person is going to say what he says, and a lot of it makes sense because he's very articulate. Okay, and it's his turn again. He knocked some stuff out of the park on Monday, but yeah, everybody was elsewhere doing other things. Yeah, okay. And as I was listening to this, I said, if you look at this a different way, you'll see some of the folks in our community. See, because he says the J word, y'all know what the J word is, right? The Jews. And because he say white folks, yeah, and he talks about white supremacy. We have a mindset in our community that he's not really talking about us. But just like that little story I said where they tell this horrific story and then they say, now imagine if that story was about somebody that looked like you. So I want y'all to hear what this dude says because he's knocking it out the box again. It's his turn to shine. And then I want you to change what he said to your black white paradigm. Not the fact that the white man is oppressing us, but I want you to take for a minute and look at your own community as the people who are perpetuating this same narrative. In other words, change the skin color. Okay? Yeah. Check this out, y'all. I'm going to sit back and listen to it with y'all. But let's get this screen share up here. Just tell me if it sounds like, or say to yourself, who does it sound like? Okay, let's play Homeboy.
I was listening to a space on X today, or yesterday rather, and there was this very obnoxious sort of white supremacist on there, kind of Charlie Kirk wannabe. Had the same demeanor, same typical sort of aggressive style. They use aggression tactically to flood your limbic system, so your prefrontal cortex goes offline and your amygdala takes over. You should pay attention to that. Blood flow shifts from the reasoning centers of your brain to the motor cortex, your working memory buffer, the space where you, in your brain, the space where you juggle facts, your logic chains, rhetorical structure, and so on, that shrinks. So you forget your data, you stumble over your words, and you get flustered. They interrupt you, they cut you off, they raise their voice, and so on. And it isn't just because they are rude and obnoxious and they have no manners. It's not just because of that. It's because they're wrong. And they know that in any calm, reasonable discussion, this will become blatantly obvious. So this is the approach they take. You know, they, they always claim to be people who love facts and who love logic. You know, facts don't care about your feelings and so on. But their whole style is tactically intended to sabotage the discussion of facts and logic, because always, they cannot actually contend with facts and logic. You know, they pretend that they want that kind of a discussion, but they absolutely actually want to derail reasoning, and they want you to be emotional. You should take note of that. This is a patented Western approach. This is how they do. Always aggressive, always confrontational, always trying to, by hook or by crook, trying to undermine actual reasoned, calm, intellectual discussion, while always claiming that they're all about rationality. This is the West in microcosm. So anyway, this white supremacist was sort of rattling off all the standard talking points that he got from some, you know, KKK subreddit or what have you. The Jews were disproportionately responsible for American slavery, saying that the Jews owned the slave ships, the Jews financed the trade, the Jews owned most of the slaves, and so on. Imagine saying that. You must think we're really stupid. Like Alabama and Mississippi are renowned for their thriving Jewish populations, you know? Because, yeah, of course, Jews in America are, you know, have always been associated with agriculture. Sure. I mean, it's goofy. It's goofy on the face of it. But okay, let's address it. Let's actually address it. I mean, someone tweeted in association with that space, a revisionist history figure that said that only 2% of American Southerners own slaves. You know, we've all actually misunderstood how truly upright and humane the American South really was. We've all misunderstood that. Well, look, the census of 1860, this isn't esoteric. Anyone can read the columns. You strip out the so-called free North and look at the families, look at the households, and you'll find that roughly one white Southerner in five kept human beings as property, with planter belts like Mississippi and South Carolina pushing closer to 1 out of every 2. So no, we're not talking about 2%. We're talking about 20%, and in some places 50%. So don't try to act like slave ownership was some fringe practice in the South. It wasn't. And the only reason that the percentages of ownership aren't higher among the general population is because of affordability, not because of morality. The highest percentage of slave ownership by Jews in the American South was only around 1.3%. And that was just before the Civil War, and that was the highest that they ever got. And I'm sorry to tell you, but if you follow the money upstream in the slave industry in those days, you go upstream on that money chain, you're going to find churches and cathedrals, not synagogues. From the Portuguese to the English, with the what they call the Royal African Company, Liverpool, and so on. This is Christian Europe. Christian Europe's monarchs, Christian Europe's merchants, their insurers, and so on. They stamp their mark on every invoice. Liverpool alone dispatched somewhere around 5,000 slaving voyages between 1700 and 1807. That's a statistic that you can find in the Transatlantic Slave Trade Database online. You can look it up. Lloyd's of London was the insurer. They insured the traffic so thoroughly that slave voyages accounted for maybe around 5 to 10% of all marine premia in the late 18th century. And no, Lloyd's of London was not Jewish. They were Anglicans and they were Protestants. So just be honest. I mean, of course, Jews did participate. Of course they did. That was a lucrative evil that you normalized. But make no mistake about it, that was a white European Christian enterprise. Jews had a walk-on role. A historical ledger-by-ledger review of every surviving British and American slave voyage puts the Jews' share of the Atlantic traffic well under 2%. That's a statistical whisper beside the roar of Christian capital. Let's be serious. So no, the slave trade was not some covert Semitic conspiracy foisted on the innocent white Europeans. No, it was an enterprise conceived, financed, and defended by Christian imperial power. Jews just sampled a corner of the poison banquet that the Europeans had laid themselves. They spread that banquet out. Now, that's not to exonerate anyone who was involved in that. It's just facts. These are just the facts. You were the buyers, you were the transporters, you were the owners, you were the slave drivers, and everybody knows it. You want to put every wicked thing that you've done at the feet of the Jews. You know, were the Jews the masterminds behind the Spanish Inquisition? Were they the masterminds behind the Crusades, the Salem witch hunts? You know, the Jews, I suppose, made you genocide the Native Americans. The Jews made you lynch African Americans. The Jews made you drop the atomic bombs on Japan, right? I mean, come on. Every evil, every inhuman thing that you've done was done at the behest of the Jews, or it was done because the Jews manipulated you and controlled you. Is that what you want us to believe? If it wasn't for the Jews, you just love black people, wouldn't you? Meanwhile, this same white supremacist, this Charlie Kirk clone on that X Space that I was listening to, was simultaneously spewing anti-black racist diatribes about, low IQ, criminality, violent tendencies, on and on and on. The same old thing that you always hear from them. I mean, the man was embodying the exact mentality of the racist, dehumanizing white slave owners that he wants to pretend didn't exist, or he wants to pretend only existed because of the Jews. No, you were bad then and you're bad now. And you can't even open your mouth except that you announce it yourself by your own words, even while you are trying to deflect and blame shift. You're racist, you're supremacist, you're cruel and heartless. And on top of all that, you're craven and cowardly because you do evil that you know is evil, but you want to try to pin it on someone else. You don't even have the guts to just be wicked and own it yourself. And these are the same people who will say, well, the Jews were kicked out of so many countries. There must be a reason. There has to be a reason for that. Never grasping that the hatred and supremacism that leaks out of your pores gives us the answer. The venom and the viciousness of your loathing is on full display all the time. They hate Jews, they hate Muslims, they hate Africans, they hate Mexicans, they hate immigrants. It's endless. Who don't you hate? And always their malice is cast as if it's their victim's fault. Do you know how much you sound like a serial abuser talking about all his crazy exes? You're sick in the head. And I mean, look, what are their excuses? Jews made you do it, right? Epstein blackmail, APAC, whatever the case may be. This is what they always say. Okay, let's go with Epstein, right? So it's his fault that you're a pedophile, right? I mean, if you're getting blackmail, you say that Epstein is blackmailing all of these legislators and so forth, means you did something, didn't you? You did something unspeakable, and Jeffrey Epstein just facilitated it and put it on tape. That's just opportunistically taking advantage of your pre-existing perversion. What kind of argument is that? And APAC, right? They give legislators donations. Okay. So your argument is that you can be bribed. You'll literally fund an armed genocide in exchange for what? A payoff? And that's your self-exoneration? That's your argument that you're actually good? The Jews made you do all these heinous crimes that you committed as a nation? Really? Then honestly, how pathetic are you as a nation? How stupid are you as a nation? How incompetent are you as a nation? How immoral are you as a nation? That's your argument? I mean, for a white Western supremacist, you sure seem to believe that white Westerners are the absolute dregs of mankind. You believe that apparently these supreme white people have no agency, no willpower, no morality, no ethics, no conviction, no intelligence. I mean, that's your own argument. That's not me. That's you saying it. Meanwhile, you believe in the Ubermensch, Superman, Aryan super race, the master race. But according to you, this so-called master race has been played with like a yo-yo to do the bidding of Jews throughout all of your recorded history. I mean, are you starting to see why they absolutely do not want to have a reasoned discussion about their ideas? Because it's not only their ideas are not only void of facts, they have filled that void with utter self-contradictory nonsense. But look, it's good. The blame shifting is good, honestly, because it shows how badly they want to distance themselves, how badly they want to disassociate themselves from what they are having the Israelis do for them in Gaza, what they are having the Israelis do for them in the region. You know, we're on the verge of the great divorce. And I've been telling you that we would see, I've been telling you for a long time now that we're going to see the floodgates open in terms of that latent, seething, and ever present Western anti Jewish hatred. That's why you sent the Jews over there to do it in the first place. That's why. That's why you made your colonial stormtroopers a Jewish brigade, precisely so that you could disavow them when the time came. I saw this coming years ago, and here we are. It's the Jews. I mean, it's our money, it's our weapons, it's our policy, it's our political coverage, it's our bombs, it's our missiles, it's our attack helicopters, it's our support, but it's the Jews. Because it's the henchman who always takes the fault. That's why they set the system up like that, plausible deniability. And that's why they're going hard in the paint with the blame shifting now. That's why you've got your Candace Owens types, your Tucker Carlson types, and so on, sort of opening the tap on despising Jews in acceptable public discourse. It's transparent. And no, I've said it many times. The Israelis are absolutely responsible for their actions. No question about it. Just like the death squads that Washington unleashed on Central and South America, just like every hired killer, just like every mercenary is responsible for his crimes. No question about it. The henchmen are responsible for what they do. The hitmen are responsible for what they do. The Nazi guards who were just following orders were responsible for their actions. But that doesn't get their superiors off the hook. That doesn't mean that they're the only ones who are responsible. No. But you see this blame shifting, this emerging narrative, that's by no means a new narrative, by the way, about, Jewish iniquity, Jewish wickedness, Jewish control, that old Nazi narrative. This is emerging anew right now for the purpose of blame shifting. I've talked about it before. But think through what that means. It's deliberate alibi creation by the West. It's cleanup. It's trying to wipe their fingerprints off the crime scene. Well, what does that mean? Well, in court, that would be proof of premeditation and full cognition that what you did was wrong, that you knew what you did was wrong. It means you're in full command of your faculties. There's no insanity defense for you. So you see, it means that you know that these are horrible crimes that you committed: slavery, lynching, genocide, Zionism. It shows that you know perfectly well that these are irredeemable crimes that you committed. You know right and wrong. That's why you want to distance yourselves. You want to blame shift. You want to disavow, because you know that what you did is monstrous. But just look at the corruption. Look at the complete absence of character on the part of the West, on the part of the Americans. Because what a decent person would do is repent. A decent person would own up to what they did and repent. They would be contrite. They would be remorseful. They would stop what they were doing and they would try to atone. That's what a decent person would do. And that's what a decent nation would do. But that's not what you do. You try to pin it on someone else. You want to pin it on your partner in crime. You want to get out of it by any means. You have no concept of accountability. The West has no concept of accountability. Just look at the corruption. Look at this weaselly character, Uncle Sam. Oh, he's a weasel. Uncle Sam is the most craven, cowardly, unmanly, weaseliest character in the history of nations, honestly. Whenever the bill comes due for the things that he's done, he tries to slide it under the door. He tries to, slip it under someone else's door and tiptoe away. No. The slave ships in the transatlantic slave trade were captained by men with names like Roberts and Smith, not Bernstein and Rothberg. I mean, how many African Americans you know today who today, still until now, carry the family names of their enslaved ancestors' owners? How many of them are named Cohen and Leibowitz rather than Jones or Washington? No. And the Zionist genocide of the Palestinians that's been going on for all these decades, that has been underwritten and it has been overseen by men named Truman, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush again, Obama, Trump, Biden, and Trump again. And every single one of those men have underwritten and have overseen catastrophic violence, war crimes, crimes against humanity, massacres, death squads, drone strikes, invasions, assassinations, coups, overthrows, forced starvation on whole populations, mass murder, torture, and inhuman brutality all around the world. And every single one of those criminals has a statue erected for him in his honor in your country. That's your people. Yes, you know right and wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't try to disassociate yourselves from your evil actions. But that's the only instinct you have when it comes to right and wrong. Self-exoneration, self-preservation. You don't use the knowledge of right and wrong to choose doing right. You only use that knowledge to avoid the consequences of doing wrong. That's what you do with your recognition of what's right and what's wrong. You have no moral hygiene. As long as your reputation can stay clean, you don't care how dirty your actions are. That's the West. See, this is crucial to understand. This shows that you have a commitment, an absolute commitment to wrongdoing. Do you understand me? It shows that you have a dedication to never changing, never repenting, never taking accountability, never looking your victims in the face and begging for forgiveness. You understand? The whole world looks at America and sees you sitting in the dock of the court, but you keep trying to act like you're sitting behind the judge's bench. You're delusional. Your whole history is a rap sheet. Your whole history is a criminal record. Everyone's memory of you around the world is one giant chorus of indictments and accusations and recriminations, not allegations. No, you've been convicted in the hearts and minds of the people of every country that you ever touched. Meanwhile, you're trying to tell all of the people that you victimized that we're supposed to despise someone else. We're supposed to blame someone else, hate someone else. At this point, you're only gaslighting yourselves. No one believes you. No one's listening to you. On that space, this white supremacist was arguing that white supremacy isn't a thing. And he said, give me an example of white supremacy today in 2025. The question is an example. Your denial is an example of white supremacy. The fact that you think that literally centuries of experience right up until this very moment while I'm speaking right now, the fact that you think that the lived misery of millions of people for hundreds of years, from your racism, your bigotry, your hatred, your violence, your exploitation, your pillage, and your plunder, you think that all of that is negated by the power of your denial, the entitlement. You think that we're going to watch you. You think that we're going to listen to you, literally spewing venom against everyone else, against Jews, against Muslims, against so-called black people, against immigrants, against Asians, against Indians, against basically anyone except white Anglo-Saxons. And somehow we're supposed to understand from all of that we got you wrong. And you're really a fair-minded, unbiased believer in human equality. Come on. And if we listen to all of your hatred and understand from that you are, in fact, a racist, white supremacist, bigoted, mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, hate-filled heathen, if that's what we take, then you'll just say, well, it's because we have low IQs. An example of white supremacy, you're the embodiment of white supremacy. It's the racial equivalent of malignant narcissism. You know, it's that fake superiority of the wholly inadequate, morally inadequate, intellectually inadequate, culturally inadequate, spiritually inadequate, developmentally inadequate, and trying to act superior. The only thing that you excel at is pretending otherwise. And if you interpret what I'm saying, by the way, let me clarify this. If you interpret what I'm saying as so-called reverse racism, no, I'm not even talking about it racially. You are. I don't attach your crimes to your skin color. You do. What I indict are your deeds. But you take that as an attack on so-called white people because you've got that on the brain. I don't. So-called white and so-called black is only a thing because you made it a thing and you insist on keeping it a thing. That puts you in a position of having to make European and American crimes like it's an inherent aspect of so-called whiteness. So that means that you can't repent from your crimes because you think that that would mean basically admitting that criminality is encoded in your DNA. That's what your sick theories and your ideas and your sick culture did to you. You racialize everything. So you can't even be honest about your history because you think that if you're honest about your history, then that would be a racial indictment. So, for the sake of defending your so called whiteness, okay, you either defend or you deny or you dismiss or you shift the blame for all of your horrific and shameful history. You don't have to do that. In fact, you have to not do that. Racialization is a sickness that you inflicted upon yourself, and then you inflicted it upon the rest of the world. So now you feel the need to try to side with, or be loyal to, or align yourself with literally unspeakable crimes, just because the people who committed those crimes were wearing the same color skin as you. You created this atrocious notion that so-called race is actually a meaningful classification of human beings, and that it's hierarchical, and that it denotes all of the sorts of qualities and traits that are actually only present in a human being by their conscious choices, not by genetic coding. You know, like the choice to be decent, to be peaceful, or to be indecent, or to be violent, the choice to be kind or the choice to be cruel. You act like this is all based on their skin color. These are not immutable qualities like your melanin composition or your bone structure. These are from conscious choice. I'm not making an indictment of white people. I'm making an indictment of evil people. But what you hear is white people. So you hear me calling you immutably evil. That's your philosophy, not mine. We're Muslims. We categorize people according to their beliefs and according to their conscious behavior, according to their actions, not by the texture of their hair or the shape of their nose or their skin tone. That's ludicrous. So you think that you cannot rebuke the whole brutal history of your countries because you imagine that that would mean you are rebuking your so-called race, that that's very important to you, and therefore you would be rebuking yourself and your whole identity. And that's what makes you integrate that whole brutal history into your identity. You understand? That is as monstrous as it is unnecessary. You can choose to associate yourself with those who do good, those who are just, and those who have been victimized, and those who have been wronged. You can do that, even if their so called race is different from yours, and even if their oppressors were from your so called race. Choosing to align and choosing to affiliate on the basis of values and beliefs and actions. That's what you can do. You can use that as the criteria for categorizing people. That's sensible. And then you'll never be stuck trying to defend horrible behavior. You'll never be stuck trying to justify crimes. You'll never be stuck denying factual history. But see, this is why I've said repeatedly, talking about the West, I've said repeatedly, your culture let you down. Your so-called civilization let you down. They wired their societies. They wired your societies so badly. They programmed you so badly. And it goes so deep that at this point, you're basically malware. You know, you enter into a conversation and everybody's antivirus protection software goes off. Threat detected. You're radioactive. You're radioactive. And still you act like the solution to your radioactivity is more uranium. Your so-called civilization infected you with so many false ideologies, so many malignant characteristics and traits, so many bad habits, so many mental and thinking disorders that your civilization doomed you to disgrace. And that's a shame. It's a shame, but it's no longer anyone else's problem but yours. This is what you really have to understand. Not only is it not the rest of the world's responsibility to fix you, they're not even obliged to tolerate you. And this goes back to what I've talked about before, about the necessity of erecting barriers around yourself and around your discourse and around your interactions. Because right from the outstart, on that space that I was listening to, that white supremacist on that X space, he was, and obviously he was a bad faith actor. Not only do these types of people not want to engage sincerely in discussion, they don't even have the ability to do so. They're not capable of sincerity. And no one should feel reluctant about muting those people. They're disruptive. Like I said, the way they engage is tactically designed to try to undermine rational discourse. You need to get them out. Understand, no one is entitled to be in your conversations. No one is entitled to inject themselves and inject their nonsense and inject their aggressive ignorance into your mind. I said they're radioactive. They should be quarantined. Understand? They have lost the privilege of participating in serious discussions. They've lost the privilege of being listened to. For Muslims, for people in the global south, for people who are genuinely serious about uh, social issues, issues of justice, international affairs, and so on, humanity, okay, you need to prove your own seriousness by expelling unserious people from your spaces. It's like protecting yourself from the waswasa of shaitan, honestly. It's no different. Build your community and understand that part of building your community includes knowing who doesn't belong there, knowing whose presence in your community is destructive and disruptive. Not letting these kinds of people come into your spaces isn't some kind of violation of their rights. No, their invasion and infiltration of your spaces is a violation of your rights. Don't let them contaminate the intellectual hygiene of your discourse. They've got plenty of other places they can go to spew their rancor. So ask yourself, why are they coming to you? Why are they coming to your spaces and your conversations? It's disrespectful, but it's intentional disrespect. You understand? It's actually a test to see whether or not you respect yourself enough to kick them out. No, don't let them hijack your platform for their hate and their ignorance and their blame shifting. Don't do that. Don't let your platforms, don't let your discourse, your discussions, your conversations, and so on become vehicles for their propaganda. You're building macro level realities through realities at the micro level. You need to be strict. You need to be vigilant. And you need to be serious. And you need to police the quality of what you expose yourself to and what you expose others to through what you allow on your platform. Think about it. Why do you think that these people are coming into our spaces in the first place? Why do you think they're coming onto our platforms specifically? You notice they're coming into pro Palestinian spaces, trying to spin narratives to exonerate themselves because they're getting squeezed. They're trying to cut a deal with the DA. It's like that. They're coming into pro Palestinian spaces because they want to cut a deal. They want to get themselves off the hook by making a direct appeal, by making direct contact with the people who are prosecuting the genocide in the public sphere. It's clear as day. That's why they're coming. Otherwise, they would never have condescended to talk to any of us before. Honestly, it's because they're getting squeezed right now. Their feet are to the fire. So now you see white supremacists, racist, Western exceptionalists suddenly showing up in Muslim spaces, suddenly showing up in pro Palestinian spaces. You and I know that they hate us. They hate people like us. They don't believe in anything that we believe in. But here they are, coming to our doors to plead their case. And because they are so inherently dishonest, so inherently cowardly, they can't even plead their case on the basis of them being good, but on the basis of other people being worse. Understand? Trying to misdirect our anger, trying to throw us off the scent. That's the only reason they're showing up at our doors, on our platforms, in our conversations. You know, and you have two types of these. You have the neo-Nazi type, who tells you, you know, that the problem is only the Jews. And then there's that other type, that George Galloway, Scott Ritter, colonizer activist type, the camouflage neocon type, who tells you that the whole problem is the Arabs and the Arab rulers and so on. These are the same. These two types are the same. All they're trying to do is exonerate America and exonerate the West, exonerate so-called white people. Honestly, imagine letting your enemy tell you who your enemy is and you believe him. You must think we're stupid. Truly, you never do right. You only ever gaslight. It's a shame that you're like that, but you are like that. And unless and until you're better, you know, because you should try to be better, but unless until you are better, you have no place at our tables.
All right, family. Yeah, he said a lot. Like I said, remember the movie where they say, here's this horrific story. and they make it all about somebody that don't look like you, and at the end of it they say, now imagine if they were black. When I said in the chat, I hope y'all hear it, I wasn't talking about the sound, I was talking about the nuance in what he said. This is what we're being blamed with, but we're not even at the table. And when we say it's a world thing, or he says it's a world thing, and the Palestinians and the Jews, bring that closer to home. Try Abos and Indians and Pan Africans and Africans and American Indians and who's a U.S. citizen. Try bringing it close to that. Try bringing it close to our narrative of the Slavs, and they, if they got light skin and they white, they got Neanderthal blood, and their hair is like fur, and change the narrative and hear what the fuck he said. Okay? Now see, I've already been kind of kicked out the community any damn way, okay? Because, you know, uh, I got dentures. I had an alternative lifestyle that people like throwing out here like it means something, like it's gonna rub off on you or some shit. Or even the whole, we got a religious code and it's the Christian Bible. You know, because we Hebrew Israelites. Hear what the fuck he said when he wasn't talking to you, but he was talking to you. Okay. Okay, you heard it. Okay, okay. I wanted y'all to hear that because it's just not a matter of coming on here going, "Hey, I'm gonna talk about us right now and make us look bad." And well, sometimes we gotta look a little bad to get things right. Okay, and you know, discernment is one thing, but we gotta have some discriminating taste around here. Because I swear, some folks, some folks will have you deny your own family members because they're light, bright, and damn near white, or Asian, or Mexican, or any damn thing else, just to fit into this cracker narrative. You know, the Black Power politics of the late '60s and '70s that got us all fucked up. Okay, because we can't identify anybody. So, what I'm gonna do today, and like I said, I don't have much time. Okay, I do not have much time because I got to get some sleep. I got to run all day tomorrow. And I probably have some time tomorrow evening to come back and do this again. Now, because I played him for 30 minutes, his whole stream, I don't know if they're going to strike my shit. Okay. But that dropped on Monday. For those of you who know where we are in this community right now, with, um, damn, do I want to say it? Hmm. Uh, the letter that was received from Washington, D.C. Oh, yeah. I want y'all to know that he said one word in here, and I've been saying that word all week, and it's only Wednesday. And it's actually in the title if you can see the acronym. I told y'all I wasn't going to tell you about the title, but I'll tell you now. Look at the acronym of the title because he said that word in there, okay? But he put white in front of it. As I was looking for something, I happened to ask, are there any black Anglos? Because we always hear Anglo-Saxon. Okay. And we don't talk about them. Hell, when we start talking about the Irish, it got a little touchy around here, especially when we start talking about the black Irish. Okay. Motherfuckers want to say, black European. But what if there was a thing called Anglo African? Because there's a thing called Anglo American. hmm We know Anglo Saxon, but what does that mean? Oh, I want to show y'all something tonight, okay? Before I take my ass to bed, okay? Let's bounce around a little bit, okay? So here's the first thing I want to show you. I've been dropping it in the chat, and what's the title of my stream? There's an L word in there, okay? Linguistical. This deals with semantics, phonology, the way you pronounce words. I'll give you one, okay? One of them would be, I want y'all to check this out. And somebody in the chat, one of them chats, when I put it in there, they said, yeah, Navi, that's it. That ain't the way they said it, but they said, yep, that's it. Check this out. They argue at us and say, You're not Indian. And we sit up and we tell folks, our grandparents told us this, that, and the other. Well, that's not a verifiable fact. And, Rob did it today. Rob Noxious tried to do it today. That, we have to be substantiated and it has to be verified in a book by somebody that because we're not Indian. That's, like those are the Native Americans and, then the Pan Africans, like the guy that sent out the damn letter um, trying to attack all the channels and shit like that right now. Um, he's all on that Native American side. We keep trying to, we ain't Native American, we're American Indian. Okay. Well, check this out. I want y'all to hear this real close. Indian, Andean. What do you call somebody from the islands? Where are the Andes? Where's the West Indies? Is the Indies and the Andes the same thing? Hmm? Couldn't you just imagine a person who didn't speak like we speak, because some of us speak kind of proper, sometimes they be like, and what you trying to do? Fontrice, you can attest to this, okay? Fontrice can attest to this. You trying to sound white. Oh, let me go on and take a strike real quick. I'm going to take a strike. I got something else for y'all before I get into this. I just thought about something. It's a line in here. It's a line in here that I just need y'all to hear. Let's see if I can find it. I might be up longer than I thought I was gonna be. Let me see if I can find Sister Girl. This one of my girls right here. I know y'all know her. Those of y'all who've been around here for a minute. Let's see if we can figure out what her name is again. Yeah, she said it in this. Yeah, there she go. Let's play her real quick. Hold on a second, cause she say some shit in here that I kind of like. Um, about this curriculum. Okay, let me go. Let me go get her. Hold on a second. Let me go. Let me go pull her, baby girl. Let me pull her. Get your children out. It's after midnight. They should be asleep anyway. Listen to baby girl for a second. Y'all should have heard this a long time ago. Let's play her.
Fuck I look like. No, really. Fuck I look like. You look like, I look like you got me fucked up is what I look like. You looking at me like I'm not supposed to be standing here next to you. Like, we in the same class, but your idea of advanced is too advanced and my mind can't match you. I think it's my vernacular. How I got half the consonants and twice the apostrophes, so my philosophy can't be valid. Like I speak slave and you speak slave master. This isn't a plantation, it's a classroom. White people think they run shit because they got money to buy a thesaurus. You say gargantuan, I say big as shit. Big as shit, it don't really matter. I guess AP stands for asshole pretentiousness. And if you don't know what that means, look it up, find a synonym. You like doing that shit. You also seem to like judging a book by the color of its author, because apparently Maya Angelou is inferior due to her grammatical errors. But white man Mark Twain can write a whole novel with nothing but grammatical errors, and that shit is a literary masterpiece. Well, I can't help but to part of my people's slang, because real niggas ain't real niggas if they don't got a twang. I want to apologize. I want to apologize for me mugging from the back of the classroom, talking about existentialism like a motherfucking boss. It's not your fault. Niggas can't vibe with me either, because as soon as I raise my hand for anything other than a bathroom break, I become a weirdo. And God forbid I excel, a 4.0 means I'm 4 shades lighter, because apparently intelligence is a white trait. At least that's what I've gathered. This one girl asked me, why would I use big words? So I can sound like you? You know what I sound like? Like I've read a book before. I act smart, so I act white. So I can't be black and be smart because black people are dumb. All this is self-hate. And to them, that's acceptable, because white people told us niggas not to read 300 years ago, and now niggas telling other niggas not to read. What are we afraid of? It's like we think giving 100% means getting 100 lashes, and my people don't even know that we're working with our oppressors, just passing on the torch, but we can't pass the bar, because the bar's been set so low we are crushing under the weight. And you expect me to cut class and get an F just to perpetuate the stereotype that's been instilled through this bullshit curriculum? Fuck I look like.
I just wanted y'all to hear fuck I look like, okay, about this bullshit curriculum, okay? Because back to the language thing, okay? Let me stop this from playing. Back to the language thing, all right? Fuck I look like, right? Um, we say Indian. It was written down in the Constitution, Indian, right? But what if you had somebody that maybe spoke Creole or came from the islands or spoke a different language, maybe like French or Spanish or I don't know, had to interact with, you know, Arab languages, and instead of saying IN, they said AN, but you couldn't really hear it because you thought it was the same thing. So Indian could be Andean, Andean be Indian. Yeah, yeah. That's really who we the fuck are. Okay, but y'all can keep playing with it if you want to. Okay. So that's one. That's one of the things that I wanted to say, that Indian and Andean are the same thing. Yeah, East. Yeah, yeah. See. Oh, you're not Indian because the Indians, there's the East Indians over there. But what about the Andeans? Or let me put it another way. You know, I'm gonna throw this out here because y'all got me woke now. How about the fact that some folks are out here talking about America's Egypt? Well, I dropped one in the chat and I said, well, if is Egypt, that must mean that Africa is Ethiopia, because both of them are made up narratives. Yeah, all vowels being interchangeable. Hmm. All you gotta do is change them three vowels and it says Indian. Uh-huh. Indies, Andes. Yeah, okay. But anyway, what if Africa is really Ethiopia in the narrative, the propaganda narrative, and America is Egypt? So we're always going to be in bondage in this land because of what? My word is bond. Because of the Christian religious narrative of, in the beginning was the word, and the word was a religious one that was given to us through propaganda. I'm just saying. Okay, because I got kicked out of the community not for something I did, but for something that some motherfucker heard. Okay, yeah, that part. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so linguistics, linguistical outlook. All right, let's get to the main part of this. Okay, let's get to the main part of this. So you got a couple of them sitting here. I'm not even gonna go through buffalo and bison. We might do that later in the week. Okay, because that's another one that exposes the bullshit. Okay, you say don't nobody want to hear it. Yeah. They over there. They doing their thing. Okay, let's go. Let's check out something. I didn't know this word existed, but when the guy in the video said Anglo, it just stood out to me. It's like it reverberated off the walls of my head and the truck and every damn thing else, like Anglo. I was like, wait a minute, because I'm also hearing what everybody's talking about as far as this community is concerned. You know, the Indian, the Abo, the Pan African, the all the bullshit that's going on, and I was like, well, if certain things are the case, and I can't go back into detail, I said, well, what was that about the Anglo-Cherokee War? So who were the Anglos that were fighting with the Cherokee for that Anglo-Cherokee War that went on? I was like, are there any Anglo-Africans? Hell to the motherfucking yes. Hold on. Okay, let me go get it. All right, because y'all ain't going to do it. Okay, let's go bring this around here. Y'all know we going to Wikipedia. I don't have to. I can go somewhere else if you wanted me to. I know how y'all feel about Wikipedia. Hell, Wikipedia asked me if I wanted to change some shit in here. Um, so we'll bounce around. Let me bring y'all over. Let y'all go with me here. Let's go over here. Uh, bounce around in there. All right. So yes, there is something called an Anglo-African. Anglo-African.com says also about Anglo-African, blah, 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 blah. Let's not even go into that. That's something about tradition. Anglo-African, the encyclopedia.com talks about 1850, and we having a lot of conversations about what happened prior to the Civil War and in the Civil War. Okay, 1850. Okay, it mentions the Civil War owned by Thomas Hamilton, his brother Robert. Oh, that's a magazine, the Anglo-African and the Anglo-African magazine. Okay, and talking about slavery, abolition, literature, politics. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Identity crisis. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go up there. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. The map is showing you all these little. Where's my damn cursor at? I think I done lost my cursor. Okay, there it is. All the little blues. Look, look. Look at India sitting over here. Anglo-African in India? Really? Okay, never mind. All right. A little bit of down here, what is that? Around Chad or Dahomey, whatever the fuck. Madagascar. Okay, we got that. Oh, and then we have the Anglo-African Commonwealth. Commonwealth is an interesting one. And then you got two different people, and there's the magazine. Okay, I'm just looking. We just looking for a minute. Okay, let me see. Oh, the Library of Congress brings up the weekly Anglo-African, the newspaper. What's the date? 1859 to 1861. Um, let's see, a newspaper was microfilmed as part of the miscellaneous Negro newspapers. Yeah, yeah, but apparently we ain't Anglo, right? We African American, but we not Anglo. Really? Are you sure? Can you identify Anglo-African? Oh, you're gonna find this interesting. Okay, you're gonna find this really fucking interesting. Okay, diaspora in Africa. Oh, that's an interesting one. Let's pop into Wikipedia. I know y'all hate Wikipedia. Okay, but let's pop in here real quick. See what they got to say. Afro-Anglo, uh, Anglo-African. I'm sorry, redirects here. The British people of Black African heritage. See Black British. Interesting. Okay, let's drop down. The British diaspora in Africa is the population group broadly defined as English-speaking people of mainly, but not only British descent who live in or were born in sub-Saharan Africa. The majority live in South Africa, and I told somebody today, I said, when you see this word, what they're going to do with the narrative is they're going to drop it down to South America so that you don't know this is North America. They're going to drop it down to South Africa to give it to the Afrikaners so that you don't know it's North Africa. Never mind. Y'all catch that later. Okay. So he goes on to say the majority live in South Africa and other Southern African countries in which English is the primary language, including Zimbabwe, Nam, Nam, Namibia, Kenya, Botswana, Zambia, my bad. Their first language is usually English. Now, we done had a whole conversation up here about English came from America and that we're speaking our language. And yeah, I went along with it too, and I still do. Okay. But yeah, name stealers. Anyway, so you see what it's saying here, right? Okay. Then they put this guy up here. Who is this? Tracy. His name is David Livingston. Um, let me see. Colonialism. Although there were earlier British settlements at ports along the West African coast to facilitate the British Atlantic slave trade, more permanent British settlement in Africa did not begin earnest until the end of the 18th century at the Cape of Good Hope. British settlement in the Cape gained momentum following the second British occupation of the Dutch Cape Colony in 1806. Okay. The government encouraged British settlers in Albany in 1820 in order to consolidate the British Cape Colony's eastern frontier during the Cape Frontier Wars against Souza. I think that's Souza. The crown proclaimed NATO in southeastern Africa as a British colony in 1843. Following the defeat of the Boers in the Second Boer War of 1902, British annexed the Boer republics and the Transvaal Republic and Orange Free State. We're going to hop off of that because they came into the 1900s. No, we need to back up a little bit. Okay. So this is the British diaspora, right? And they tell you South Africa. Watch this. Let's go back. Let's go back to Wikipedia because we're talking Anglo Africans for a minute because I think that's what we're looking at. We just been calling them Black, British, and mixed people, and mulatto. We ain't calling them what they really are, okay? And we ain't really addressed totally how this shit is going down. It's really hard to trust anybody right now. But let's read a little bit. Uh, oh shit! Don't be tell we got to do a AI search. Yep, we're gonna have to do an AI search. Okay. Damn, somebody must have heard me, must have seen me looking for it, and it is not in here. So let's go find the AI search. Are there any? Okay, what is a Anglo African? Let's see if we can find that. I didn't ask you for an Anglo American. I said an Anglo African. There we go. Y'all tried it, didn't y'all? Let's go here. All right, let's share this tab over here. Yeah, well, don't look too hard, okay? So Anglo, they didn't even put African up here. The question was, what is an Anglo African? It came up Anglo. Let's see what an Anglo is, okay? It says here on Wikipedia, Anglo is a prefix indicating a relation to or descent from England, English culture, the English people, or the English language, such as the term Anglosphere. Remember that word because we're going to hit that one tonight before I go to bed. I can't be up long. It is often used alone, somewhat loosely, to refer to people of British descent and Anglo America. The Anglo what? Caribbean, South African, Australian, and New Zealand. Hmm. It's a whole thing that I dropped about some people looking at some names on the New Zealand list, okay? You know, the conscientious observers of the war and stuff like that. Yeah, that part. Okay, anyway, it is used in Canada to differentiate between francophone. You mean like my folks who spoke French dialects? Never mind. Um, but Francophone Canadians located mainly in Quebec, but found across Canada, and Anglophone Canadians also located across Canada, including in Quebec. It is also used in the United States to distinguish the Hispanic or Latino population from the non-Hispanic white majority. Mm, hmm. Let's go a little bit further. Anglo. Didn't they say that English comes from Latin? And this is about, yeah, I'm sorry, Rude. I'm tap dancing on you, my bad. Anglo is a late Latin prefix used to denote English in conjunction with other toponyms and demonomes. The word is derived from Anglia, you know, never mind. Andean, never mind. Okay. The Latin name for England is still used in the modern name of its eastern region, East Anglia. It most likely refers to the Angles, Anglo, Angles, yeah, same shit. Angle. Never mind. Okay, y'all get it later. It most likely refers to the Angles, a Germanic people originating in the North German peninsula of Angel or Angelin. Yeah, England. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay. That is the region of today's Lower Saxony that joins the Jutland Peninsula. Um, s- do y'all know where Jutland is? Yeah, it's not in South Africa. It's in the northern part. Yeah. Okay. You know, a little bitty area that was meted out over there with Wessex, Sussex, and Essex, and all of that shit. Yeah, Northumbria and all that. Yeah, it's up north. Okay. Um, let's continue. The first recorded use of the word in Latin is in Tacitus's Germania, where he mentions the Angles as a Suebian tribe living near the Elbe or Elba, whichever. Bendy or Beatty, which we looked into him a couple years ago, writes that the Angles came from a place called Angelus, which lies between the province of the Jutes and the Saxons. Didn't I tell you up north? Yeah. Y'all don't believe me? Okay. Yeah, y'all might not believe me. Where's Jutland at? Where they put that word Jutland at? Jutland. Yeah, that's not down south. Okay. Um, that's not down south. Okay. That's not down south. Okay. Anyway, let me go back. I don't even feel like looking for that um, anymore. Okay. I'm not gonna go too far into that. But anyway, the Utes and Saxon, Anglia and England both mean land of the English. Anglia and England both mean land of the English. Okay. Anglo is often used to refer to British in historical and other contexts after the Acts of the Union in 1707. For example, the Anglo-Irish Agreement. Damn, you got Anglo-Irish too? God damn. Okay. Of 1985 between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland, which established the Anglo-Irish Intergovernmental Conference, a forum made up of officials from the British and Irish governments, and the Anglo-Dutch Treaty. Damn, you got Anglo-Dutch too? Ah, shit. The Anglo-Dutch Treaty of 1824 between the British government and the Dutch, not an English government. Okay. Typical examples of this use are also shown below, where non-English people from the British Isles are described as being Anglo. Uh-huh. Okay, we're not going all into this because, like I said, I don't have much time. But you got, what did they say up here? Africa, Australia, Canada, Israel, Scotland. What else they got down here? The United States. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Well, goddamn. 58% in the United States, 78% in the United Kingdom, 53% in Canada. Australian is at 74, Ireland 76, New Zealand at 69, South Africa on 3%. 3%. It's not the Afrikaners. Okay. Spain 1%, Israel 4%, France. Oh, well, shit, less than oh my goodness. Uh-huh. Oh, wait a minute, it's something else down here. Oh, look at this. The Angles is a tribe. You got the Anglo-Burmese, the Anglo-Celtic, the Anglo-Indian, the Anglo-Irish, the Anglo-Norman, the Anglo-Saxon disambiguation, Anglo-Saxons with plural, Anglo-Scottish border, blah 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 blah. And then down there at the bottom, you got white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, which is the ones that he was talking about. But what happened to all these other Angles? Did they turn to African Americans? Because see, it still ain't showed me that an Anglo-African is someone who has British and African descent. That's what an Anglo-African is. And I think that's who we've been fighting with, calling them Black Irish. Okay. and then saying that, I mean, not black Irish, black Europeans, okay, while at the same time ignoring the Anglo-Cherokee War, saying that Cherokee didn't exist and they were a fake tribe. According to who? The fucking Anglos? And which Anglos? Okay, can you get the salt out the water? I'm sorry, just gotta dehydrate that bitch. Okay, I'm talking fast because I really need to go to sleep. Um, Anglosphere. This is the last one I want to show y'all. Oh yeah, there's probably an Anglo Italian out here too. Okay, but this is the one I want to show y'all, and this one is the one that people gon' be like, oh shit. Okay, let's go into this one. What is an Anglosphere? Remember, it's anyone that's it's these countries that are practicing that speak English, use the English language as their first language, if you would, follow English culture and tradition. Okay, and we can't say that we don't, just not British English. Uh-huh. Yeah, but anyway, see, it says it right here. Where's my cursor? The Anglosphere, also known as the what? Wait, hold on. Wait. Huh? The Anglosphere is known as the Anglo-American world. Didn't they say that, everything started over here and then it went over there, colonized? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Y'all gonna stop calling people African American. Y'all gonna have to say what it is. Y'all Anglo Americans. I'm talking about the Pan Africans. Yeah, because they ran their asses over here real good. Okay, and these are who we're fighting with, in my opinion. But let's continue to read just a little bit more. Okay, because it's something I want y'all to see in here. Okay, and then I'm gonna let y'all have it. I'm gonna take my ass to bed. So it says the Anglosphere, also known as the Anglo-American world, is a Western-led sphere of influence among the Anglophone countries. The core group of this sphere in influence comprises five developed countries that maintain close social, cultural, political, economic, and military ties with each other. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and, oh, I'm sorry, the United Kingdom and the United States. Although extended definitions do include non-Western and developing countries that were once part of the British Empire and retained English influence and common law, for the people that's running around here talking about common law. And we common law and yeah, niggas, that's y'all. Okay? Yeah, right here. Okay? You take that wherever you go, don't you? Anyway, let's continue. Let's get down here. Common law upon independence, such as those in the Indian continent. The Anglosphere is a distinct grouping that is not simply synonymous with countries in which the English language has official status. Uh, do, 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 do. Hold on, I want y'all to see something because I'm hoping it'll show up any minute now. And if not, I'm gonna go look for it my damn self. Oh, it's showing up. It's coming up. Anglosphere countries are generally aligned with each other on global issues and collaborate extensively in matters of security, as exemplified by alliances like Five Eyes. The core countries of the Anglosphere are either NATO members or designated by the United States as majority non-NATO allies. Okay, we'll read a little bit more. Let's read a little bit more. Let's catch a couple of these here. Okay. Definitions. The Anglosphere is the Anglo-American sphere of influence. The term was first coined by the science fiction writer Neil Stephenson in his book, The Diamond Age, published in 1995. Yeah, it was here way before that shit. Okay. John Lloyd adopted the term in 2000. Oh, they getting real modern because they don't want to tell you about the fucking history. Anyway, let's continue. And defined it as including English-speaking countries like the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, South Africa, and the British West Indies. I'm sorry, the British West Andes. I'm sorry, the British. Yeah, that part. Okay. James C. Bennett defines Anglosphere as the English-speaking common law-based nations of the world, arguing that former British colonies that retained English common law and the English language have done significantly better than counterparts colonized by other English European powers. Here go Merriam-Webster's ass. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines the Anglosphere as the countries of the world in which the English language and cultural values predominate. hmm However, the Anglosphere is usually not considered to include all countries where English is an official language, so it is not synonymous with Anglophone. And that's good to know. We got a little differentiation that we can have here, okay? We speak English, but not their motherfucking English, okay? But anyway, uh, what's in this one? Okay, let's go one more. Core Anglosphere. The definition is usually taken to include Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States in a grouping of developed countries called the Core Anglosphere. The term Anglosphere can also include, but frequently omits, Ireland and the Commonwealth Caribbean countries, despite their similar domestic primacy of the English language and common law. And this is how they wrote the hijack in with the Caribbean, where people in the Caribbean think that they're African because these motherfuckers went down to the Caribbean. And we went to the Caribbean. Mind you, some of our people got kicked off the mainland, got sent to the fucking islands as punishment. And now folks think that we're foreign if we were over there or mixed or British or Black Europe. Yeah, all of that shit plays into this. But let me go back. I want to show y'all something. It's down here, but I want to show y'all something. And then I'm gonna get my ass off of here, okay, and go hide my head under a rock somewhere. But right here in this second paragraph, first sentence, Anglosphere countries are generally aligned with each other on global issues and collaborate extensively in matters of security, as exemplified by alliances like Five Eyes. I was like, what the fuck is that? And that was almost the picture that I used up here, five eyeballs, okay? But Anglo only got 5 letters in it. Never mind. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. Check this shit out. Folks have been running around talking about it's the CIA and the CIA and the CIA narratives, and I don't deny any of that, but they didn't go far enough. Check this out. Five Eyes. The Five Eyes, FVEY, is an Anglosphere intelligence alliance comprising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These countries are party to the multilateral UK-USA agreement, a treaty for joint cooperation in signals intelligence. Informally, Five Eyes can refer to a group of intelligence agencies in these countries. The term Five Eyes originated as shorthand for the Australian, Canada, New Zealand, United Kingdom, United States eyes only. Ooh, okay, or that long ass word that would probably become a word by itself later on. Okay, releasability caveat. All right, what else we got? The origins of the Five Eyes can be traced to informal secret meetings during World War II between British and American code breakers that took place before the U.S. formally entered the war. The alliance was formalized in the post-war era by the UK-USA Agreement of 1946. All right. As the Cold War deepened, the intelligence sharing agreement was formalized under the echelons. Yeah, I think somebody was watching a movie and just happened to mention the echelons or the echelon in their mispronunciation of words and shit. But anyway, um, but the echelon surveillance system in the 1960s. This system was developed by the Five Eye to monitor the communication of the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc. It is now used to monitor communications worldwide. The Five Eye expanded its surveillance capabilities during the course of the War on Terror, with much emphasis placed on the monitoring of what? The internet. Never mind, y'all didn't hear that. The alliance has grown into a robust global surveillance mechanism, adapting to new domains such as the international terrorism, counterattacks, and contemporary regional conflicts. And y'all think they just dealing with them folks over there? No, not really. No. I don't want to come too far in the future. Y'all can read this shit for yourself. But I want to go down just a little bit. I want y'all to see the organizations. All right. So we ain't even got to the United States. Let's go to the United States. They might think I'm being nosy if I just stop it there. So let's roll down here to the United States and see what the fuck pops up. The CIA. Mm-hmm. The DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. Okay. Now, mind you, the CIA, it says, is for human intelligence, whereas the DIA is for defense intelligence. The FBI is for security intelligence. The NGA is for geo intelligence, and the NSA is for signal intelligence. Yeah, yeah, your Anglosphere. I know we should be happy we're protected and all of that. I am. I'm glad that we are protected on our shores. Thank God for the people who have fought for us to keep us safe and keep wars off this land. But at the same time, fuck them motherfuckers that's been lying about the whole damn shit and confusing the narratives. Like Homeboy said, you know, they stop your intelligence by, you know, interrupting you when you talk, you know, drifting and deflecting, all that shit. Yeah, that part. Okay. But check this shit out. Human intelligence. That's what we're dealing with, isn't it? Oops. On the internet. Uh-huh. Anglo, African, Anglo, Saxon, Anglo, German, Anglo, Irish, Anglo, Cherokee, Anglo Sphere, England, yeah, okay, y'all get it later. And here's all the other ones that we probably didn't know anything about as far as the United Kingdom, New Zealand, which is right up there. Okay, it's just right up there. All right. Uh, Canada, which is even fucking closer because, you know, they have their own form of human intelligence. And yeah, okay, never mind. Okay. And I guess only thing that I want to say about all of this is we're being duped, we're being played, and we're playing right into the game. Um, because we don't have a seat at the table because we keep playing the fucking game on colorism so you can never identify the fucking parties and how you relate to this. Some of these people who are talking about their Pan-African and talk, he's government and he's an agent and they're Pan-African and this don't make no sense because I don't see why y'all let this whatever. Yeah, because in my opinion, they're part of these groups right here who are sent out here to utilize propaganda and make sure we don't never get to the real information, that we stay on and the cracker and the Neanderthal, and if you're gay and if you're not Christian, if you're not a Hebrew Israelite, and let's ignore the, you know, the pedophilia, let's ignore, you know, the freak off parties, you know, let's just go back to business as normal and yeah, um, pay attention, okay, okay. But there was another one in here, and it's not just the five eyes. They also got, I think it's the nine eyes. I think it's another one that might be. Oh, there it is over there on the side. Okay, I see it on the side. There it is. It's over here. Okay, look at here. You got the five. You got the five eyes that we're looking at. You got the six eyes plus, which includes Israel, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. Then you have, or you got the six eyes. Then you got the five eyes plus. Let's shoot on down there. So here you got there's the five eyes. Okay, and it says that blah blah blah. Oh, you got five eyes plus three. Okay, and these are agreements that includes France, Germany, and Japan. Okay, sharing framework to counter China and Russia. Y'all just playing into it, hating everybody. Fuck the Chinese, fuck the Mexicans, fuck the Africans, fuck the Asians, fuck the this, fuck the that. Yeah, because we're slow. We keep falling into the narrative because you want to increase your vocabulary. You won't look at other things other than the norms that you've been looking at. I mean, like I was telling a couple friends and family, I was having an interesting little day over the weekend, and somebody started introducing me to all the black power politics of the late 60s and late 70s, and then they tried to attack Trump, and I was like, well, Biden was an asshole. Okay, he was stupid. And you're talking about Trump having felony convictions and this, that, and the other. Or have you not been paying attention to how the setup went? I'm sorry, never mind. But she was 70 and I damn near cussed her out, okay? Because it's like, goddamn, we got to play this game in the public. I felt like I was back on social media. I expected her to say cracker and Neanderthal any minute now, okay? You know, but on top of that, you got the nine eyes, and this includes what? Denmark, France, the Netherlands, and Norway. Then you got the 14 eyes, okay? Oh shit. I'm sorry. How many eyes do flies have? There's nothing more that I despise but what, and flies? Yeah, okay, never mind. Anyway, so you got the 14 eyes. The 14 eyes, it consists of the nine eyes plus Belgium, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Sweden. And we over here talking about hair color and who's got nine ether hair and shit. And if we gonna call ourselves a Moor and who's a Moor when Anglo Africans come from North Africa. They're in fucking North Africa. Okay. Yeah. Uh, do you see it? I don't know. Maybe you don't see it. Do you see that Africa ain't even highlighted? That it's coming out of this area, but they're British and African mixed people. They're British and African mixed people. Never mind. Y'all don't hear me though. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm getting sleepy. Okay. I'm getting sleepy. All right. But I just wanted to show y'all that just a little bit of that. I can't find the one that actually tells you that Anglo African is mixed British and African descent, which makes them fucking North African, which makes them the goddamn Moors that you're talking about. And even if I had to touch on the Essence Festival, you think it's a coincidence that it failed because people who are not us are pretending to speak for us because we won't fucking speak correctly for ourselves. In other words, like Homeboy said, we won't repent. We rather deflect. Okay, never mind. Look at the little logo, y'all. Yeah. Okay. That didn't do it. Let's go here. Let's go this way. How about that? Anglosphere. Okay. And look what they want to know. Will it survive? Will it? Oh, okay, old dude. Okay. Would you say I'm wilding? I'm sorry. They kind of tied me up in the back for a little while. I'm kind of getting loose. I got one hand free right now. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, a little inspired, just a little bit. Holy Ghost ain't kicked in yet though. Okay. Yeah. But that's the picture they depict, and then they start talking about NATO and all this shit down here for now. Still around, Anglosphere. They even got something on the stock market. Yeah. Which is they let it all fall down. Okay. Some people right there with you. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. I done enough. I think I done enough damage. I don't feel like just sitting here reading because I'll be up too late and I got to get up in a few hours now. But I just wanted to bring this to you because I wanted to know, was there such thing called an Anglo-African in relationship to the Anglo-Cherokee War that they had back in the day, and this Pan-African Abo-Indian conversation that we're having. And so I'm just going to say, in my opinion, some of these folks that we're saying are Pan-African and African and talking about the slave trade happening shit, they're Anglo-Africans. They're not African American. Okay? Because what language did they fucking speak? If you're from Africa, what language did you speak? English? Because it was beat out of you? No, because you're Anglo-African. Came from an English-speaking country, even if it was in Africa with the colonization societies and otherwise. All right, we done. We done. We done. We really done. We just give it to you one more time, right around here, right around here.
I will never equate stupidity with my melanin, nor will I ever sacrifice my skin for the white man's standard. So never ask that I speak for anyone but me, represent anything but what I stand for, and fight for anything but what I believe in. And if anybody ever expects me to do anything but be myself, they got me
They got
fucked
me
up.
fucked up. I love my girl Kai. Had to go back and snatch Kai on that. Okay. Fuck I look like for this bullshit curriculum. Nah, I'm sorry. I'm too big to fit in that little box. Susan Thompson, I thank you for appreciating the what I brought, even though it was rushed and not planned or anything like that. But hey, it's a study hall. Grab your book, sit down, grab some notes, take it where you got to take it. Like I said, hope you found something that you can use. You just can't use me, right? So, family, thank you guys for showing up. Hey, run and go tell it. And Fundi, we're not East Indian. We're just Indian. I'm sorry, Andean. Yeah, yeah, that part. Never mind. Okay, y'all get it later. Appreciate you, fun trees. I think I called you Fundi. I didn't mean to call you Fundi. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, I had to get a little work in today. Okay, cause yeah, I'm not interested in a wet t-shirt contest because I'm old as fuck. Don't nobody want to see these saggy titties anyway. Anyway, I'll talk to you about that later. Fun trees. I got to, yeah, never mind. See. I'm just saying. Let the young folks do what the young folks do. We gonna do what we do until we can't do it anymore. Because as I said before, you notice the people who used to be up here who are no longer up here because y'all like playing with y'all food too much. Okay. But the next time you see them niggas and they start talking about they African or Abo or Indian, no, tell they asses that they're Anglo African. Okay. Yeah. Maybe next time we'll come back and deal with the buffalo and the bison. Yeah, because that's another way to see the bullshit that they did. Okay. Anyway, let me get my ass out of here. I got to go to bed. Okay. I got, I'm booked up until Wednesday. We was working to get some shit done and it's finally happening. 61 years, I'm right behind you. Okay. I'll be 61 this year. And for the people who are out there trying to, locate me, you know, and doing little searches and, skip jumping, trying to find me, I'm right here. You ain't got to do all of that. Ain't nothing in that name anyway. Stop doing that dumb shit. I see you. Anyway, y'all, let me get on out of here. All right. Yeah, we'll deal with that buffalo and that bison another time. Okay. But peace, family. Let me get this outro going and get my ass out y'all way. All right. 'Cause it is what it is. Hope y'all have fun. I just hope y'all get it right. And if you don't, stay over there. Okay. You like doing that shit, don't you? Anyway, I'm just saying. Let me take my ass to bed before I talk too much shit. All right. Peace, family. Appreciate y'all. Hope you got something that you can use out of it. We got to find the damn outro again. Why I always got to look for the fucking outro? God damn. I'm sorry. I probably should have told y'all this or that, you know, that it was incoming, but at the end of the day, walk on by. Okay. Still looking for the outro. There it is. Peace. I'll talk to y'all later.